quick tip when it comes to drawing and just making much of anything when it comes to art. References are your best friend. There's no such thing as cheating in art. If you feel need to trace something to get the lightness down, go ahead, use a photo reference. Maybe even like look at another artist's line art style and sort of like try to copy that. It's 100% okay. Nothing wrong with it.
My name is Jakia Hall, and I am the Academy Manager and the Fashion Design Teacher. I've always been creative on my own, but being able to actually express it through a medium and being able to showcase to others the type of creativity I had probably helped me in the best way in terms of confidence. I've always been passionate about keeping the youth in the arts. It wasn't really an outlet when I was younger. Being able to showcase that to younger students who at a time may not have someone that is telling them that being an artist is a real career, and also being a Black woman, of course. Being able to be that figure for them and let them know that if I can do it, you can do it, if not better. That's why I'm at Words, Beats, and Life. Enroll in my fashion design class today at wblinc.org/academy.
Hi, I'm Milana. I like writing poetry, and while I'm writing, I put the ideas I have in like short notes on the bottom of the document so I can like weave them through as I choose, and then I cross them off the list.
Hello, happy Monday, and welcome back for another session of College Material. For those of you who are just now joining us or are new to this session, here at Words, Beats, and Life, we believe all our youth are college material here. Our college material program is an incredibly important initiative that we offer to our students at the Academy. This program helps our students and their families learn what is necessary to be college material. Some people just don't know what that is. We do this by teaching what college is, allowing our youth to gain access to resources needed to help understand the importance of an education and having a plan after high school. We would like to thank our sponsors, Herb Block Foundation, Arts Forward Fund, DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities, and PEPCO. Also, to keep this program and this organization living and running, consider making a donation today at wblinc.org/donate. Again, that's wblinc.org/donate. So tonight's session is about interviews and internships. Okay, interviews and internships are some of the most important aspects of college, and preparation is always key. Okay, do you get anxious or nervous before an interview? Do you find it hard to talk about yourself? No matter where you fall on that spectrum, tonight we're going to go over some tricks of the trade for interviews and internships and help you strengthen your ability to promote and market yourself. Okay, because at the end of the day, we want to get that job, we want to get the internship. And moving forward, we're going to go ahead and introduce our first panelist, Ashley Valle. She serves as one of our volunteer college material coaches. Ashley Valle is originally from Miami, Florida, but has called DC home for the last 8 years. She works in international development, supporting programs in South America to reduce deforestation in critical ecosystems like the Amazon and combat climate change. She holds a BA in International Studies and Sociology from Middlebury College and is a bilingual English-Spanish speaker and is proficient in Portuguese. Ashley is passionate about the arts and how they can serve as a change agent to combat injustices and make the world a better place. She is also passionate about the outdoors and loves hiking in the DMV. Ashley has served as a mentor and is currently, like I said, serving as a volunteer college material coach here at Words, Beats, and Life. Welcome, Ashley. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Oh, great. Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. with our first question. So, first up, we have, how much time did you spend researching internship opportunities?
Alrighty. Well, I guess I can just jump in. Yeah. So actually, I spent a decent amount of time researching. These internships, they really are early experiences or early essential building blocks for your resumes and for your overall career path. They offer hands-on experience that will count towards the years of experience required for full-time positions down the line, and they help develop your skills in a way that is complementary to your education. So I would dedicate some serious hours into doing research. Internships are really great for giving you the opportunity to try and test out different fields, whether you're thinking about marketing, education, the arts, getting a feel for different types of organizations, like, do I want to explore a career with a nonprofit versus a grassroots organization versus a larger private company. There are also excellent opportunities to build your network, find additional professional mentors that might help and shape and support your career. And so a really good place to start looking is LinkedIn. Perhaps your high school also might have a website with some internship opportunities. Internmatch.com is also really great. And then one of my favorite websites for finding internship opportunities, especially those that are with the nonprofit sector or working on issues that are, social, economic, environmental justice, is looking at the website idealist.org.
Ashley is already dropping resources and gems for us already. So on a roundabout, how many hours do you think that you actually spent researching internships?
Yeah, no, I would say that at least, anywhere from about 6 to 8 hours, doing the research, looking on the different websites, and also doing the whole exercise of thinking, what do I want to get out of this internship? What am I looking for? What type of organization am I looking for? Doing that entire exercise,
Right.
Definitely would take anywhere from 4 to 8 hours at least.
Cool. Yeah. Research actually shows from Bristol that you should commit at least 10 hours. So you're in a good roundabout range. You said from 6 to 8. So probably the overly committed people probably do 10 hours, but I would say 6 to 10 hours, like you said, or 6 to 8 seems like a good range of time. So it says the first 20% of your time you should spend researching the company in the industry sector. So like you said, based on LinkedIn or internship, just that first basis of introducing yourself to the company and then going to the company site. Then the next 40% of your time should be based on the job description, person specification, and job advert for clues to potential lines of questioning. And then you come up with 40 potential questions you might be asked. Okay. So researching how you fit into the job description. What are some keywords, some key pointers, those cookie cutter type of things that they're looking for in their ideal candidate? Then once you come up with your 40 questions, the last 40% of your time should be you answering those questions, okay? Take time to speak your answers out loud so you're well prepared. I've done plenty of mock interviews with my friends before. I don't know if you have, Ashley, where I'm the interviewer and they're the interviewee and vice versa, and just helping them get into the flow of answering those questions or asking questions, just because you might rehearse it so much and then once you get there you've never said it out loud and then you're like blanking, like, oh, what do I do next? And then that way it doesn't seem so rehearsed, because of course you're kind of going to rehearse what you want your answers to be because you're expecting a certain level of questioning. But based on research, that's what we got. So moving on, what were some important things to consider when choosing an internship?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think that there are kind of a few different buckets that you should be considering. I think one of the first ones is time commitment. Is it a part-time internship? Is it a full-time internship? Is it compatible with your university schedule? Or if you have other part-time work, is it compatible? And another element to take into consideration is if it is full-time, meaning that it is a large chunk of your time that will be dedicated to this experience. Is it paid? Is it unpaid? So I think that's one thing to consider. I think carefully reading and thinking about the job description. Does it interest you? Can you see yourself performing those duties daily? And do they offer an opportunity to learn and build your skill set? Does it give you an opportunity to apply some of your more unique skills? Think language, the arts, debate skills, etc. Another thing that should be considered, what experience are you looking for? Are you looking for the experience with a large company or a smaller nonprofit? And then also, I think, almost most importantly is mission. Does the organization work in an area that is important and meaningful to you? Is the organization or company aligned with your personal values? And then lastly, the one thing I would want to highlight is opportunities for growth. Does the internship offer a track towards full-time employment? The opportunity to work directly with and network with more senior staff. Is this the type of organization you could see yourself working at least for a few years? So I think that those are some key points: opportunities for growth, mission, time commitment, and then just the details of the job description and making sure those really kind of speak to you.
Right. I totally agree on that. I would say location too. Did you mention location? Yeah.
No, I didn't.
I think location is probably one of the main things that would be a determining factor in internships for me, because it's like ultimately wherever you're interning at is going to set you up for a career. You're hopeful that wherever you intern at, they'll eventually hire you. Okay. But some other things, why are you doing it? You spoke on that early on. Like, why do you want to have an internship? You need to clarify that. And that should also be a part of your research. So research shows that when you're clarifying where you want the internship, these are some questions that you should ask. Why do I want this internship? What skills do I want to learn? Will this help me in my career advancement? Do I need to meet specific degree requirements? And how much time do I want to devote to working at my internship? Any of those questions you can speak further to, Ashley, or like that you feel like are detrimental in deciding where you would pick an internship?
Well, yeah, I think the point on, can I develop the skills that I'm looking to achieve? Like, is this an opportunity for growth, for learning, for all those types of things? I think are extremely important when we're deciding on where to intern. I think it's definitely that one opportunity where we can really just focus on, what can I gain from this opportunity?
Definitely. I felt like my internships, out of these questions, one thing that was major to me was, what skills do I want to learn? Like, am I going to walk away from this internship with feasible and usable skills, whether it be technical, whether it be logical, whether it be based on education or advancement? What skills am I taking away from this internship? What am I learning? What can I bring forth to other people? All of those things. Out of these questions, I would say like the skill set was the most important thing for me when it came to advancing in my internship, moving into a career for sure. Okay, next up we have. Okay, most people say to start the search early on. Okay, based on our college material program, we are catering not only to students who are just in high school or at that senior level, but students who are first year in college, second year in college, even middle school. It's not too early to ever start searching. And then in some instances, they take younger kids. You don't have to be currently a high school senior or freshman or sophomore in college. So the earlier you start, the better. And that comes straight from a Rutgers alumni, to start the search early on. Moving to our next question. Or research. Okay, so how to research a company before a job interview. Okay, so coming over to interview, I think I'm kind of flip-flopping between interviewing and internships. Okay, one thing being to research the company website, and two, search Google News for recent company developments. Can you speak to that part of research also?
Yeah, no, I think that's probably one of the most important things that you can do going into an interview for an internship, or also just deciding if this is the type of company that you would like to dedicate some of your time to. Yes, going to the website and researching the organization, knowing its mission, its major working areas, the latest projects and news, and also looking into their executive staff, who runs the organization, who's on the staff of the organization. I think that these are all very important things to take into account when you're making your own internal decision if you want to work for them, A, and then B, having those inputs for when you do interview, because you definitely want to demonstrate that you know the company or you know the organization or the nonprofit when you are having some of these initial conversations with these organizations. So, and obviously, if you have anybody in your network, either through Words Beats in Life, or through your high school, or through college, that knows the organization or has worked with the organization, to get any of their opinions, that's also another avenue that could be explored.
Right. Awesome. Yeah. I've definitely spent a great deal of time researching a company's website, just looking for little tidbits and things like, will I actually fit in with this company? And like you said earlier, their motto and their mission, does it align with mine? Do we value the same thing? And then seeing like just how their website is set up as an artist, is it like, technical? Is it user friendly? Like, can I research their company website and actually learn things about them, or does it really look a mess? Because that can tell you a lot about the company itself. You're not taking the time in the 21st century for your website to not be user friendly or even up and running. Yeah. Sometimes you click on the company website and they haven't even paid their domain for the month. So it's like those things are very major indicators on how the company works sometimes. And then seeing what they're in the news for. Are they in the news for good things? Are they in the news for bad things? It's kind of just like researching like apartments. Like, where do you want to live? Like, okay, you see the apartment, the gallery photos are nice. They have a nice clubhouse, but then you read the reviews and it's like, oh, their maintenance is terrible. My ceiling's been leaking for months and no one's come to fix it. It's kind of the same concept. This is essentially going to be your second home. It's your job, it's your internship. So you want to make sure you fit in there, you're going to be comfortable, and all of those things for sure.
Absolutely. And just one more resource to add, there is this website called glassdoor.com that also employees put reviews of companies on that website. And so that's just like an additional data point to maybe get an insight into, the day-to-day culture of a workplace.
Right. Awesome. Well, we have another panelist joining us, Toni Asante Lightfoot. She's our current curriculum manager here at Words Beats in Life. Toni Asante Lightfoot is a poet, educator, curriculum coordinator, mindfulness coach, and performer from Washington, D.C. In the last 10 years, she's gotten a certificate in massage therapy, associates in Asian bodywork, and a master's in traditional Asian medicine. She is the mother of one daughter and has been a mentor to hundreds of former students and patients. Welcome, Toni.
Hi there. I don't know if you all can hear me. Yep. Let me know if you can. Is it turned? Am I coming through?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yay, wonderful. And so I wanted to make sure that in my bio I had put, how many times I had gone through the process of getting into colleges and then different jobs as well.
Awesome. We're thankful you're here tonight to add to this conversation. We're underway right now, moving on to our next question. How did you prepare for your interview? And this can be based on internship or job. Ashley, we can have you up to answer first, and then Toni, we can get your take on it next.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so preparing for an interview for an internship or a job, it's pretty much the same methodology. We covered the first one, which is research the organization, mission, major working areas, etc. But another key point would be to prepare for a couple of questions that are going to come through in almost every single interview. So it's the why are you interested in the opportunity? What has you excited about working with the organization or company? And then also reflecting a bit on yourself. Why would you be a good fit for this opportunity, for this organization? And then thinking about what you have in your experience, what education or extracurricular experiences, whether from school to arts, sports, family. And if you do have professional experience, what professional experience has prepared you for this opportunity? I think having kind of, at least, thought through those answers prior to an interview are really important. The next step I would say is, take the job description. So it has an overview of the position, and then it's going to have bullets of, what your day-to-day duties may be. For each, good exercise prior to an interview would be going through each responsibility in the job posting, responsible for circulating the monthly newsletter, recruiting students for a volunteer opportunity, whatever those responsibilities may be, and think of reasons why you would be able to successfully complete them, why those responsibilities, interest you, why you'd want to take those on, and perhaps what experiences have prepared you to be able to complete those tasks. Just being able to kind of think through those types of things, I think, are really important. And then lastly, I think it's super important to come prepared with questions for the interviewer. So, at the end of the interview, they will likely ask you if you have any questions about the organization, about the opportunity. So when you come with these questions, it shows that you've done your homework, and that, you're interested and excited about the opportunity. So you might want to ask something about, work assignments potentially that you would be assigned to if you accepted this opportunity, questions about the organization, about appearances in the news, et cetera. So I'd say those things would be kind of the most important ways to prepare for a job interview, at least in my experience.
Definitely. Our CEO, Mazi Mutabu, would definitely agree with that last take of asking questions. That's like one of his staples for interviews. He always says if the interviewee doesn't have any questions for him, he's always worried. Like, no, they don't have any questions. I don't know if they're going to be a good fit. So that's definitely good. And I feel like it's a good, not even just in terms of interviewing in a job aspect, but just from a personable stand, like asking them something. It lets them know that you're personable, you're also not afraid to have a conversation with them. Just not only based on, what they're bringing to the table or how they will interact with you as your boss, as your CEO, as your overseer, even if it's just with HR, just already building that personal relationship. I think about it in that sense too, because some people are just afraid to ask questions, and it's really not going to hurt to ask, even if it's totally irrelevant to the job. Just asking them about themselves. Do you have any children? Things like that. Just being personable and showing them that you're human and having a conversation with them. I think just outside the aspect of being inquisitive about the job, asking questions can present a lot more other things beyond that. So it's really good. Toni, did you have anything you'd like to add to that? How do you prepare for interviews? We can see you moving, but you're not talking. You're talking to us. Sure. like she might be having some technical difficulties there. Not a problem. Okay, we're going to move on to our next question. Were you prepared for your internship?
That's a great question. So, I think it's important to come into an internship knowing that we are there to learn and to grow and to gain experience. It is an entry level position, so we aren't expected to have all the answers or solutions. I know I was a bit intimidated going into some of my first experiences. But I think that what is actually expected of us is more to come with an eagerness to learn, asking thoughtful questions, trying to be resourceful. So again, I think everything comes back to, the best advice that I received prior to my internships was, coming prepared, doing my research, learning about the company and the staff that work there. Setting internal goals for myself, I thought was really important. And then also really developing, a good relationship with your supervisor and setting expectations so that it's very clear what is expected of you and how you can kind of meet those expectations and even perform beyond them. Also setting up a space for getting feedback from your supervisor, allowing yourself to receive constructive criticism. And the rest is just going in with a positive attitude, taking notes so you don't forget anything, and taking the role seriously. So I think that's the key thing, is knowing, going into this, we're not going to know everything. We're not going to have all the answers. I know we live a bit in a fake it till you make it type of culture, especially in DC. But I think it's just important to know that, this is the opportunity for us to learn, and trust that our, experiences in education thus far have prepared us for this opportunity.
Definitely agree with that. And you kind of segue into my next question, which was, what if I don't have all the skills necessary for an internship I am applying for? It's a lot of people, like you said, are in this, kind of fake it till you make it culture, but sometimes that works in people's favor. So what do you think about people who don't necessarily have all the skills for the internship that they're applying for?
Yeah, no, I think that's also another great question. I think so. Just given the fact that an internship is an entry level, a beginning post, an opportunity for learning, I think that the way that you can address that, for example, in an interview, is saying, this is an area that really interests me. I've taken these steps to learn more about it. I hope in my in some future university classes to take X, Y, and Z classes that are in this area. I think just showing a general working knowledge of those things that perhaps you feel like you don't have that much experience in, would be one way to approach it. Because most of us are coming and approaching internships without any significant professional experience. So more so than having the actual qualification, I think showing enthusiasm and interest and whatnot is important. And showing how you would maybe address that in like your university education or with any extracurriculars and whatnot. And also being, equally as important to like having professional experience or educational experience, your extracurriculars, what you've learned through the arts, what you've learned in terms of discipline by perfecting your arts and by training, like those things can also be extremely relevant to the internship opportunity that you would perhaps want to highlight as well. And, taking other experiences from life, from family, adding that personal touch as well.
Definitely being personable. I feel like, because you're essentially promoting and marketing yourself. So not in the sense of like selling yourself, but you want the people to buy the product. You are the product that you want them to purchase. So it's like marketing yourself to be able to not only have the skills that you bring to the table based on education, experience, all those things like you said, but also letting them know that you're here for growth, you're here with potential, you're here to learn also. So a lot of people think that they have to know everything showing up to the internship, but that's all in all the purpose of it. You're there to learn, to move forward in your career to the next level in the internship or the job career that you want. So you're there to learn. You're not going to know everything.
Exactly.
Totally fine. But like you say, we live in a world where people, feel like they have to come up and show up as, them full selves, even though they might be lacking in the area and they're not totally confident about that. But at the end of the day, you're there to learn. Being and showing that you're human and vulnerable in a sense to learn can show that sense of you being personable. And people like personable people. We know you're not a robot. We know you're not, and you don't know all the answers. So totally fine. Take that leap. Take the internship. Even if you're not 100% qualified, you have the potential and you can bring to any team enthusiasm and encouragement and all of those things for growth. So take it. My next question. Did you gain any new perspective on your career from an internship that you've taken before?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, an internship essentially gives you a front row seat to a career that you're potentially interested in. And so all I can say is that the way that you really can take the most advantage is by, meet as many colleagues as you can, whether they're at your same level or the people above you, ask lots of questions. And I think really importantly is accepting assignments that kind of going back to what we were just talking about, accepting assignments that feel a little bit outside of your comfort zone. The whole point here is to build skills and learn, even from our mistakes. And then another good thing that I think internships do is that, they build our skills, but they also help us identify what further skills we may need to develop to build a career in that field. For example, learning another language or gaining computer skills, et cetera. I mean, these types of things could inform future choices for university or graduate coursework, for example. So I think that, the internships really give you some insights into what the career would be like, and then also what other further skills that you may want to begin thinking about or investing in to be able to build that career. But yeah, no, I think that internships definitely are very valuable. I was able to make, for my first internship, I did decide I was working in international development and humanitarian aid, and from that first internship that I had here in DC, it pretty much solidified my my desire to be working in that field.
Right, so it was location for you. Location did it.
Yeah, also.
Yeah, they swooned you. We have a question from the audience. Micaiah says, so how do you stand out to an interviewer? How do you keep them thinking about you? That's a great question. It's a great question.
Yeah. So one thing I would say, I mean, I think we've touched on so many of them, enthusiasm, coming prepared, research, asking thoughtful questions. But I think it's also really important after the interview, sending a follow-up note, thanking them for the interview, expressing that you look forward to hearing from them soon. That way, soon after the interview, you're back in their inbox. So I think that's a good tactic to sometimes use.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I usually send a follow-up saying that it was nice meeting them. I did have a friend in college that used to send like handwritten cards where they would like drop them off. And I was like, I never thought about that. But that's also, a nice personable touch, a handwritten letter or a handwritten note card. Most people don't do that anymore. So that's definitely something that's memorable. I would say, to Micaiah's question, doing something that's memorable, doing something that's genuine, based on your research, not only on the company, but about them. So for instance, if you're interviewing with your actual boss, I would, maybe take a look at their LinkedIn, at their Facebook, see, did they get a new dog? Did they have a baby recently? What's their astrological sign? Something that's, going to be a little gem that you can notate and that they can relate specifically back to you. Like, oh, yeah, I remember her. She was from New York and she studied X, Y, and Z. And a lot of times you will find commonalities between you and the interviewer based on your research, or even once you start in conversation. There's been many times where I've researched people prior to, and I find out we're in the same sorority. So I'm already prepared in my mindset to kind of segue into that conversation during the interview if they don't already know based on reading my resume. But definitely doing your research and being able to pick out certain gems that'll make you memorable to them, I would say would be a good way to have them thinking about you. Because at the end of the day, you might not always be the only candidate, or there could be several very good candidates that are, pretty competitive. So you have to keep them thinking specifically about you. That was a great question. Really good question. Hopefully we get some more in the chat. Feel free to drop your questions, comments, concerns, and we will take them. I kind of want to do a little play on a mock interview. Very lax, not stern, okay? But asking some of those questions and kind of seeing where you take them personally. And the number one question that most people hate, but is usually the number one question that people ask, which I'm sure you already know, is tell me about yourself. How do you sum that up?
Yeah, no, those extremely broad questions are always a little bit tricky to answer, but I would basically, recap a little bit about your education history, some of the extracurriculars that you have focused on, whether it's in the arts or sports, etc. And then also, I would also what I would also try to do there is depending on the opportunity. So for example, if it's, an opportunity working with, conservation of the environment or whatnot, I would focus in on, your interests as they relate to that specific topic, essentially. So a little bit of education, extracurricular, people want to hear what you do outside of the professional and education realm. And then also your interest and experience and passion as they relate to the thematic area of the opportunity that you're applying for, whether it's, anything from, environmental justice issues to environment to, whatever the job opportunity is.
Yeah, we had Micaiah in the chat agreeing. Like, how do you answer that question? And it's so hard for some people because, again, we're not used to promoting and marketing ourselves. So it's hard to talk about ourselves or essentially sell ourselves to someone because that's not something we do often. I would say my take on telling them about myself would kind of just be starting with the timeline, like where I'm from, where I went to school, what I studied, why I'm here today for this interview, where I plan on going after this interview, or how I want things to go if I get this job. Just kind of giving them a quick little blurb. I mean, because they really already know about you. They know all of these things. They've read your resume. They know enough to invite you to the interview, essentially. So we're gonna. They already know. So selling yourself at the end of the day, just keep it as short and sweet as you can, but giving a full background. Micaiah says that she also likes to tell them about what's important to me that isn't related, like how I have a passion for working with children. I feel like it helps them to remember I'm a whole person, not just a worker. It's definitely that. Like we said, we want people to know that we're humane and we're personable and we can be vulnerable in a sense to discuss what we're passionate about. And showing that you're passionate about something lets them know that you have a decent work ethic. At least you're able to commit yourself to something that's beyond you at the end of the day. I think we have Toni back. Let's see if we can add her back in.
Yes.
Hello, Toni. Yes, welcome. We can hear and see. We were just going over the number one question interviewers love to ask is tell me about yourself. How exactly do you give that to the people?
So one of the things that I feel is one of my best qualities is that I really do work hard to solve problems. And so I never had a job that I was immediately qualified for. I had my first really good paying job as a temporary employee as a secretary where I was supposed to type up autopsies for Howard University. And I'm sitting in there and I called my mom. I was like, yay, I got a job. I'm working at Howard University as a secretary. And my mother said, I didn't know you knew how to type. I said, I don't. And they told me I had 3 months to get up to 75 words a minute. So I came in 2 hours early in the morning, an hour early in the morning, and I stayed about 2 hours late in the afternoon so I could make sure I got the same amount of work done. I was typing about 35 words a minute. And then, in 3 months, I was up to 100 words a minute. So it's not just, being there as the employee that you think they want you to be, but it's also showing up and increasing your skills. Because once I got to 100 words a minute, then I was able to get better paying jobs, and didn't have to like kind of sneak in under the wire. And also like kind of feeling and living up to your expectations for yourself. If you say, if you feel that I can do anything, if I'm given enough time, guidance, and then, put enough energy in it to practice it. So when I was interviewing for, internships, even when I was working with, trying to get into massage therapy and then acupuncture, the way that I would go in there is just say, what I don't know about the company now, my goal is to learn, whatever it is that I can, and to be, a team player, to learn as much from as many different people so I can, everybody can see like where I'm gonna get in is where I'm going to fit in. And so we move with those expectations of greatness for ourselves and then for the position that we've put ourselves in.
Awesome. Thank you. We have another question from the audience. We have something from Warren. It says, what are some ways you can boost your confidence before an interview? Also a great question. Whoever wants to go first.
Can I jump in?
Yep, go ahead.
So one of the ways to build your confidence is to do stuff. The more you do in your life, the more you'll know you can do. The more you fail in your life, the more you'll realize how much you can recover from failure because you'll be learning from it. And then it won't become a failure. It'll just be a learning experience. Don't hold things in your heart that you wouldn't want your friend to say about you and that you wouldn't say to your friend. So if you're learning and you mess up, it's just a learning process and you keep on going. You kind of let all of that negative voice, bad feelings about yourself and your capabilities, you put that behind you. That's nonsense, right? Whatever you want to do, you can do. And then you can do it at a certain level, depending on how much you practice it, right? So we think about Michael Jordan. When he started off, he didn't make varsity, right? He had to go out there every day and just keep on practicing, because he had enough confidence to know that even though he wasn't technically good enough for that first time he went out, he was going to be much better the second time. And he was. And always think of yourself as this amazing and beautiful and wondrous work in progress. And that the only way you can progress is by putting yourself on the line. So go out there and learn as much as you can about random things. My mother says I have a lot of great Jeopardy knowledge. Like I'm really good for Jeopardy because I just went out there and learned stuff. I wanted to learn how to make clay pots and clay bowls. And so I took a class in that, learning languages and speaking to people and feeling comfortable and trying to, just say, look, I'm learning this language. I'd like to speak with you, and see how that goes. Take an art class, take a woodworking class. I love to do carving and whittling and things like that. Just learn some stuff. And that way you'll have body understanding. You'll know what you're physically capable of. You'll know what you're mentally capable of. And then you'll know that all you have to do is push yourself and you can learn so many wonderful things. You may not be the absolute best at it, but at least you'll know that you're competent. And that is what's going to actually elevate all of your skills and your value to any company that you want to work for.
Thank you. I definitely agree with all of that, especially on your practice tape. As you know, being an artist and teaching art, everyone always says, I can't draw, or I'm not an artist. And it's like, yeah, because you have to practice. Like, there are some artists who come fresh out the womb, just very good with the pen and pencil and a paintbrush. That it's just in their DNA. And then other people practice. Like, they went to school, they studied major artists, they did internships, they did fellowships, they did all types of shadowing of different artists, practicing at their art until they became better and better and better at it. So definitely practice makes perfect. And like we spoke about earlier, doing a mock interview, if you have a parent or a friend or colleague, someone who you can sit down with and actually go through those questions about, tell me about yourself and where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years. Practicing that, building up the confidence to answer and do all of those things. Actually, we'll take your take on that next.
No, I don't think I really have anything else to add. I think that, just echoing you exactly, practice makes perfect, and practice will, at least in my case, whenever I practice for any, whether it's an interview or any public speaking engagements or whatnot, like practicing, researching, and being prepared is kind of the number one way to enter into an interview or any type of public engagement with the confidence necessary. So that would definitely be my number one piece of advice, which I feel like, yes, we've already touched on quite a bit today.
Awesome. Right. So moving into, like I said, our mock interview, we want to try and give our audience some little gems that they can take away and maybe practice saying themselves. So another question interviewers love to ask is, where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? How do you answer that, or do you even answer it? Because I know some people who will be like, I don't have a plan. I'm going with the flow. Are you that type of person, or do you give an answer? See both of them thinking, so whoever wants to bite first.
So, right, it depends on where I see myself in 5 years, right? In 3 to 5 years. So when I was in college, right, I saw myself as being an engineer in 3 to 5 years, depending on which year that I was in school. And then in 3 to 5 years, for my last year and a half of school, I was like, I'm going to be a geologist and I want to teach geology. My major became geology and education. And then I was like, no, I actually want to teach poetry. I enjoy that. Right. So you can say whatever it is that, your wildest fantasy for your 3 to 5 year goal. And then just be very understanding that, right, we may have a pandemic. We may change our major. We may, do all these other things, and that's fine. But the main thing about that question is that you're thinking about like how you're going to get to where you want to go. Right. So if you don't have a plot and a plan to go somewhere, then you may just end up anywhere. Of course, as we age, we realize you're going to end up just about anywhere that life ends up putting you, because opportunities come that you couldn't even dream of. So the main thing is, like, right now, I'm an acupuncturist. Where do I see myself in 3 to 5 years? I want to have a nice practice. I want to, have a certain amount of patients, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know, because I thought that was going to happen a few years ago, and then we had a pandemic. So don't worry about what the reality is. Think about what your goals are, and then how are you planning to reach that goal, being very aware it may mean nothing.
That's a good take. Ashley, what are your thoughts?
I think one thing to add, especially if this is, for an internship at an organization you're extremely excited about, that you could see yourself working there beyond, the internship years, you can kind of flip the question on to them about, what opportunities for growth are available within the organization, within the line of work that you are applying to, seeing if, there are program associate manager or just any other types of opportunities beyond the internship, for people that are interested. I think that is kind of a way to answer that question. And if you are extremely excited about the organization and company, say that you see yourself working at that company in 3 to 5 years, because then they also think, oh, well, look, we're making this early investment for somebody that wants to stick with us or wants to at least stick in the industry. So that's one way to approach it if it's something that you're particularly excited about.
But most importantly, do not tell the person you see yourself having their job.
Yeah. Yes.
I've definitely seen that on TV before where they're like, yeah, where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? And they're like, yeah, sitting in your chair. Yeah, you're going to be working for me, basically. So, yeah, I would say not to say that unless they tell you that they're on their way out the door.
Yeah.
If not, just, stick with being in longevity with the company and not excelling and exceeding them.
But one of the things too that I would also like to add, and I don't know if this was gone over when I was, having my technical difficulties, because I have interviewed with people where I didn't get the job, but I ended up getting a mentor, right? And so either I chose a different job myself, or they went with someone else, but they saw something in me, and I saw that they saw something in me. And I was like, I don't know this field as well as I'd like to. Could I be able to like call you maybe once a month and, just kind of shoot some ideas about blah, blah, blah. And then, see where we can go from there. They can tell you what their availability is, like what do they expect of their mentees. And then you decide whether or not that works. And so like I had ended up being the personal assistant for certain people in order to really learn that business and move up in that field.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent take on being an intern and an employee. Having that mentorship, and then at the end of the day, if you don't get that job and you've already built a relationship with this person, when the next job comes up, they're going to be thinking of you to take
That's right.
first. So I definitely like that take. And in the same sense, a lot of people think that you have to get the job that you're going in for to interview for. But some people find out, and this has personally happened to me. I've interviewed for one position, and they were like, I don't think you're right for that area. I actually think you should be in this department. Or actually, how about we make up a position for you because you bring a lot to the table from different areas that I feel like you should do this. We don't actually have a position for it, but it seems like you make up all the things we would want that person to be. So definitely going into the interview with an open mind, essentially, and being okay with not getting the job that you're going for, but being able to take something away from it, whether that be a mentorship or another opportunity or an internship. They don't quite think that you're qualified to come on as an employee yet, but they want to give you the chance. So they're giving you the internship instead. I don't think a lot of people think about that, but it is an option that happens. And you just have to be susceptible to that and be ready to grow in that position. Really cool. The number one question that the people hate, I would say, is what is your greatest strength?
So again, I always say problem solving, right? And so, and increasing my capacity in whatever position that I'm in. And so, I'm a weird-minded geek. I always want to find like the weird aspects of a job that maybe people aren't doing, because then I know I can get into it and not really be bothered a lot because I know what my personality really is. And as much as people think that I'm a people person, I'm only a people person for about an hour and a half a day. So like know what you're working with, and then I can go off and work by myself and get do some little things, or work in a small group. But when I have been in positions, especially because I did a lot of temping, the reason why I was hired for most of my temp jobs is because I found things that were missing and that were needed for the job, or for the company, that they hadn't been able to get. And I'm very good at procurement. I have a great network of friends and family that do a lot of things. So this is when you now bring in your tribe. You create this network of people that will be able to help you, not just in your own personal life, but that there are resources for you when somebody's like, back in the day, like, why won't the fax machine work? And I was like, oh, I have a friend of mine who works for IBM. Let me figure out how do we get the, either the part or the service contract. Like, what do we need to do? Or I'm just kind of like, but if I can get this IBM, fax machine to work, I'm sure they're going to really like that. And he's like, yeah, you need to have a service contract. You do this. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, I got it. Boom. And then, so like looking at those resources, like that's my greatest strength. I'm not just coming with me. I come with, a lot of different experiences and different people that I can call upon.
That's awesome. Like a Rolodex, you're a human Rolodex. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And just kind of to add on to that, I think it kind of goes back to our earlier conversation on, especially when we're at this, the internship level, we're not going to come with all the answers. We're not going to have all the knowledge and all the experience. But I think what's really valuable, one thing to really highlight for employers and for internships is your ability to problem solve, to be resourceful. You might not have the answer, but you know where to go looking for the answer. And I think that's a really, really, really valuable trait that a lot of employers do look for. So I think that would definitely be, one way to answer that question for sure.
Oh, also say that you're humble enough to ask when you don't know, right? Because a lot of times huge problems come when interns think that they're supposed to know. They do, right, whatever it is, or they don't do whatever it is because they just didn't ask that one little question. It might have just been one small thing they could have gotten the answer to that could have propelled them into the right area. It's like, oh, I haven't done this before. Can you help me with blah, blah, blah? And then that also shows, right, that you are emotionally mature enough to know what you need help with.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I would say my greatest strength in terms of the work environment would probably be being a team player. Like, I feel like I'm the one that you can count on if something needs to get done. Like, this person is sick and they couldn't come, or this person is running late. Call Jakia. Like, I'm dependable and I'm the team player that you can call on, and it's gonna get done at the end of the day. And on the flip side, before we run out of time, what is your greatest weakness?
And so for me, it's always doing too much. And right. And then not being able to hold, bring it back in where I'm focused enough. And so that's why I'm always like, okay, now what is it that I really need to do? What is it? How is it that you want? And so that's why I ask those questions. So that way I'm not doing all this, small resource things and missing the bigger picture.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I would say that whenever answering this question, because it always just feels a bit like a trick question, because
it is
like, what are you going to say? No, I like to procrastinate. You're never going to tell that to. Do not say that in your interview. That probably is my greatest weakness. So, but yeah, no, I think the way to answer that question is to, think about it honestly, then try to frame it positively, and also in a light of, well, this is my weakness, but these are the things that I employ, and that these are the things that I do that mitigate that counter that. For example, like I have a tendency to get excited about things, and so I overcommit myself. But what I've done is I've become more disciplined, and I've learned how to prioritize, for example, like kind of, making sure that you have a strategic answer for that. So yeah, that's one to definitely prepare for, because you will get asked that. And you're supposed to kind of flip it into, well, actually, it's because I'm just amazing that this actually works in my favor. So
yes. So it's kind of like, this is my weakness, but in all actuality, it is a strength.
Exactly. That's what the question really is.
Yeah. For me personally, my weakness is being an overachiever. Because at the end of the day, like you said, I end up taking too much time on a project that should not take that long. Because I'm being an overachiever. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a good product. Like, I'm going to produce excellent work. The project is going to get done. It's going to get done. It's just taking me a lot longer than the normal person would because I just want it to be that good. I want it to be a representation not only of me, but our company and our organization at the end of the day. But we have come to our time. I thank you ladies both for these excellent gems. I can't wait for marketing to cut and snip this up so everybody can get it just how they need it if they don't have the time to watch this all the way through. But we hope that you all will continue to tune in for these live sessions and take away these awesome, awesome gems. The biggest gem for this session is our student showcase, which will be this Friday, streaming live on these same platforms at 6 o'clock. So you can see what the future of the world is bringing. So the next internships, the next interns, the next employees, the next mentees are bringing to the world. Please, please, please join us on Friday at 6 o'clock to see the excellent work that our students have to donate. And be sure to donate at wblinc.org/donate. Visit our website and follow us on social media at Words, Beats, and Life. Thank you all and have a great night.